recently Wahoo introduced an update to their top-of-the-line cycling computer. This is the all-new Roam version 2. And maybe it's Wahoo's best cycling computer yet. You see, I actually think that Wahoo had a problem last year. Their entry-level cycling computer, the Elemnt Bolt version 2, was in many ways superior to their top-of-the-line cycling computer, their Elemnt Roam. And I actually had quite a few number of friends who actually switched away from the old Roam to the new Bolt because, they actually felt it was better. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the changes that Wahoo has made to the Roam version 2. We'll take a look at data accuracy, and of course I'll tell you what I like about this new computer and what I wish were different about the Wahoo Elemnt Roam version 2. Now this new Roam version 2 boasts a new dual-band GPS satellite chip. It has a faster processor and it has more memory. It also has a large 2.7-inch with 64-color high-contrast screen. And the main top buttons are different. Now they're convex as opposed to concave. And the all-new Roam weighs in at 3.3 ounces. And lo and behold, it has a USB-C charging port. All seemingly good updates, but the Roam version 2 also comes with a small price bump. The old Roam was $380, but this new version 2 cost $400. Now, to some of you, these changes might sound vaguely familiar to the update that Wahoo made on the Bolt last year, and that's because the Bolt from the version 1 to the version 2 also got a similar processor bump, new buttons, a color high contrast screen, a USB-C, and its own little price bump. Okay, so, what is Wahoo doing different with this Roam? Well, the dual frequency GPS is one thing, dual band GPS just meaning that it can now connect to multiple satellite systems at the same time for better accuracy. If we actually take a look at some maps, we can compare this Roam 2 to a Hammerhead Karoo 2, a Garmin Edge 1040 Plus, an older Wahoo Bolt, as well as a few watches that I had just lying around for good measure. And while in some spots the Roam 2 is looking slightly better than the older Wahoo Bolt, I don't know if it's truly significantly better. In fact, in this one spot here, it does seem to be the one computer that seems to turn significantly wider than all the other devices that I was testing on that particular ride. Further down the street, as the speed of the bike started to pick up, the Bolt has me on the wrong side of the road here, so I guess that's one thing. But taking a few turns wide or, even being on this wrong side of the road as it is here, really doesn't seem like a huge deal to me. I think if you are a road cyclist, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys are, any of these cycling computers are gonna give you decent enough accurate GPS data. And my experience is that, the increased accuracy that you get from dual frequency GPS chips, it's probably more beneficial when you're getting into some really more difficult terrain like trails and away from those wide open roads. I did do some mountain biking with the Roam version 2. In this case, I'm comparing it towards the Apple Watch Ultra and the Garmin Enduro 2, both of which also have dual band GPS chips. And I would say that the Roam did track this ride, somewhat accurately, but I'd also say that it probably was the least accurate of these three devices that I had with me on this particular ride. Again, I don't think that that's a reason, not to buy this particular device. But I just say, maybe, don't buy it just because of the new dual band GPS feature. As a complete side rant, it's not just Wahoo. I have seen a number of companies where dual band GPS doesn't really automatically translate to amazing GPS accuracy. I kind of want to make like a separate video on the topic, maybe something like dual band GPS is totally overrated. No idea. But if you go out and pick up the Roam, in the box you'll get the computer itself, you'll get one of those really nice out front mounts, you'll get a smaller stem mount that could also be used for TT bars or on a stem somewhere, you'll get a few zip ties, and you'll get your basic quick start guide and warnings. Now, when we look at the hardware of this device, it does look fairly similar to the old Roam. I would say maybe the most noticeable visual change is that new 64 color high contrast screen. And overall, I really like the way that Wahoo uses colors on their devices. For example, it'll sometimes color code metrics like the power output or heart rate. It'll show you like red, yellow, or green, just depending on the effort level of that particular metric. Wahoo also has updated those 3 buttons across the top of this device. And those 3 buttons, they protrude now as opposed to like dip down. And it's a little thing, but I like it. And I know that's gonna be one of those like weird hot button topics. I guess it's a touch point on the device. But the size and the weight of this device really hasn't changed that much. It is a larger device. It's basically a 3.5 inch by 2.5 inch device, and it's about an inch thick. And it's a 2.7 inch non-touch screen display with a 200 by 400 pixel density display, and it weighs about 93 grams. But here's how it looks next to the Garmin Edge 1040 Plus and the Hammerhead Karoo 2, both of which are also larger devices, and they're both somewhat competitive with this particular computer as far as the bike computer market goes. And the Wahoo Elemnt Roam version 2 also has more memory. The memory jumped from 4 gigs all the way up to 32 gigs. Now, I've been waiting on this review just for a little bit, just because Wahoo has been promising a new feature called Summit Segments, and that feature was just finalized last week with a software update as of about October 31st, I'd say, and I actually think it's a feature that a lot of people have been waiting for and wishing for, and it's basically a better way to visualize upcoming climbs during bike rides. So, if you have a pre-programmed route, you can see things like the number of upcoming climbs and details about the gradients that you're actually climbing on, or gradients and distances that you still have left to climb. And it's a feature that a lot of other manufacturers already have. Garmin has they call it the Climb Pro, but Brighton has a similar feature, and the Hammerhead Karoo 2 has a similar feature. In fact, the Hammerhead Karoo 2 can actually show you details about the climb that you're on, even if you don't have some sort of pre-programmed route installed for that particular ride. But here on the Roam version 2, climbs have to be a part of a pre-programmed route, and when you're out riding, you'll see a climb and it'll say climb. You can actually set it to automatically switch to the climb screens, and you'll see a fair amount of information on here. You'll see stuff like vertical to go, distance to go for that climb, current grade, an estimated end time, and 3-second power and heart rate and elevation profile that's actually graphed in color here at the bottom. And then there's alert when you actually reach the summit. It'll tell you something like 2 out of 5 with the number of climbs that you have done and the total number of climbs. And there's also this page that actually lists the completed climbs and the upcoming climbs. And I actually thought it was odd that you couldn't actually customize some of that data on that Summit Segments page. But it turns out with the software update that was just announced today, they've actually changed that so you can adjust those particular data fields. So, just be sure to get out there and update your firmware, ladies and gentlemen. But overall, this Summit Segments feature is a great addition to the Wahoo Elemnt Roam version 2. And what's cool is that it's not exclusive to the Roam version 2. It's also coming to the original Roam as well as the Bolt version 2, which also means that this cool new feature doesn't really distinguish the Roam version 2 from all of Wahoo's other devices. So it does bring us back to the original questions. Is the Roam the best cycling computer? Should we even buy it over something like the Wahoo Bolt version 2? Well, I would say that you should definitely consider it if you're someone who prefers Wahoo's, in my opinion, better ergonomics as far as the way that they've designed the hardware of their bike computers. And you're also someone who wants a larger screen than something like the Wahoo Elemnt Bolt. And maybe you're someone who potentially wants the longer battery life. The Wahoo Elemnt Roam can go up to about 17 hours. And in my testing, I was seeing, close to 16 hours, even with that dual band frequency GPS. But as you can probably guess, I don't think that you should run out and buy this necessarily if you have a Roam version 1 or a Bolt version 2. This update seems very iterative in my opinion. It doesn't feel like a huge leap forward in technology. The dual band GPS is fine. I just don't really see it performing dramatically better than the older GPS units. Now, is it Wahoo's best cycling computer? Yes, I do think it is, but only marginally so. And it has a higher price point, so I'd really only suggest buying it if you need it. But Either way, be sure to get out there, swim, bike, run, rinse, and then repeat it all over again, and we will see you guys on the next one. Run out and buy this particular computer. If you already have a Roam version, shut the up.